Hello, my name's Tim, welcome to Tim Burbage Reads, and today I'm going to be talking to you about a book review for Carrie, Soto is Back by Taylor Jenkins Reid. So, I was lent this by my sister-in-law, so thank you. It was almost part of my mystery challenge last year, and so it's been sitting on my bookshelf for a while. And I read it this month, and here are my thoughts. So first of all, what's it about? Let me read the blurb for you. Carrie Soto is fierce, and her determination to win at any cost has not made her popular. But by the time she retires from tennis, she is the best player the world has ever seen. She has shattered every record and claimed 20 slam titles. And if you ask Carrie, she's entitled to every one. She sacrificed nearly everything to become the best, with her father as her coach. Javier, a former champion himself, has trained her since the age of 2. But 6 years after her retirement, Carrie finds herself sitting in the stands of the 1994 US Open, watching her record being taken from her by a brutal, stunning British player named Nikki Chan. At 37 years old, Carrie makes the monumental decision to come out of retirement and be coached by her father for one last year in an attempt to reclaim her record. Even if the sports media say that they never liked the battle axe anyway, even if her body doesn't move as fast as it did, and even if it means swallowing her pride to train with the man she once almost opened her heart to, Bo Huntley. Like her, he has something to prove before he gives up the game forever. In spite of it all, Carrie Soto is back for one epic final season. In this riveting and unforgettable novel, Taylor Jenkins Reid tells her most vulnerable, emotional story yet. So there we go. It's about tennis. It is a period piece. It's set in the 80s, and then most of the story takes place in the 1995 tennis season across 4 majors, 4 Grand Slams. This is okay. What a good review. One thing that is a great help and also a great hindrance is the prose. So the prose is so light. It's so easy to read. You know, there's lots of space on the page. Sentences are short and easy to read. There's this bit here which is like a transcript from commentators. Everything is short and sweet, which does make it very easy to get through. The problem is that it ends up feeling quite lightweight. So even the highest of highs and the lowest of lows feel quite evened out due to the nature that it is written. For example, the last point of the season, the climax of the whole book, is like a page. You know, I think even less than a page. It kind of finishes, and you're like, oh, is that it? Like, that was generally my thought, like, oh, okay. So it makes it easy to read, but I felt it just didn't have enough oomph for me. And I do think there was emphasis placed on strange points here. You know, even if we take that literally, you know, during a tennis match, they focus on one point quite heavily, and then they kind of jump forward in time and then focus on another point. And I'm like, whoa, hang on. You know, she was trying to break the serve and failed, and then the next time they're cutting in the person serving to win, which means that they broke her serve. And that's like, in tennis, breaking someone's serve is a huge moment in a set. You have to break someone's serve to win the set unless you have tiebreakers, you know. So that's a huge turn, and the book missed it to then focus on like the final points, and it's like, ooh, I wouldn't have done that. Emphasis was kind of in the wrong point. My son played a bit of tennis. Like, being British, we have Wimbledon. Tennis is kind of very much part of British culture. There were a couple of points in here which I kind of raised my eyebrows and was like, that's not right. One of which is in Wimbledon. There's a throwaway comment about the men's final lasting till 11:30 at night. That has never happened, and not like that will never happen, but Wimbledon Centre Court didn't have a roof and lights until 2007. And this is talking about the 1995 season. And even after 2007, the latest match has ever gone is 11:02 because there's a curfew. And, you know, the British people love a curfew. Otherwise the council will get involved. So that kind of, I was like, whoa, what? Get my phone out. One Google. Yep, that's incorrect. And the other thing is that in training, she does play with a male tennis player, Bo Huntley, mentioned. She trains with him. And she beats him a lot. And I don't want to get into, like, gender politics and all that kind of stuff. But at this point, she is trying to come back from retirement. He is currently an active player on the tour and in, like, the top 50. And she beats him over 5 sets handily. And I just don't think that would happen. I'm sorry to say. It kind of took me away from the story a bit, and it didn't really add anything either. It wasn't like a great monumental thing. It was just in training. So yeah, a couple of things that were negatives for me, but in terms of positives, I thought it covered kind of childhood. It starts from childhood, like coaching, and it ends up not being about tennis. It ends up being about winning. You have, there's a bit about how she is viewed by the media, even when she is playing and winning. They call her the battle axe. She said she's not very feminine, she's not very pretty, compared to, she's playing new tennis players who have more, way more lucrative deals with sponsors compared to their tennis ability. And I think, this was in the 90s. I think Anna Kournikova was a famous example of this, who was a very famous tennis player, but didn't really set the world alight on the court. No dig at Anna Kournikova, by the way. Yeah, so I enjoyed that look at things. I enjoyed the relationship between her and her coach, who is her dad. Again, there were big situations that happened between them in the past that felt very brushed over, and points that are happening in the present that kind of get, everything just kind of goes with the flow. And that, I wanted more bite to it. One thing is that it starts off in 1994 as she sees the other player kind of match her record or get up one behind her or whatever it is, and she decides to come out of retirement. And then it called it the first time round, and it goes through her career. And it is so telly from a prose perspective. And, you cover 3 years in one chapter. It just feels very, very, very lightweight. And it was very telly. I did this, I did that. Oh, and that's how I won this, and that's how I lost that, and then I retired. Like, it's really kind of cut off to the point. Once you get into the present, it moves to present tense, which does kind of, again, make it easy to read. I enjoyed the present bit more. There is definitely, there are 4 Grand Slams. You kind of know going into it that she's going to do all 4 Grand Slams. It does mean that you can predict what will happen, because you know that she's not going to break the record. She's not going to achieve her goal by the first Grand Slam, because there's still loads of book left. Kind of takes the tension out a little bit. And there is one major plot hole to her whole plan of coming out of retirement to take the record again, which I'm not going to say here, but she figures it out right at the end, and that kind of impacts the climax of the story. And I'm like, I thought that was kind of a given, that she understood that, but it wasn't about that. You know what I mean? And the book treated it like a revelation, and I was like, but that's super obvious to me. Yeah, so I found that a bit strange. So overall, I still enjoyed it, and I think the easiness of reading did help me go through the book. So I give it kind of 3.5 stars. I rounded it up to 4 on Goodreads. Yeah, I think 3.5 stars is about right. I would be interested in reading more Taylor Jenkins Reid, for sure. You know, really definitely. I think Daisy Jones and the Six sounds interesting. All of her books kind of take place in the same universe. Carrie Soto at one point is reading like an unauthorized biography of Daisy Jones and the Six, which might be what her other book is. And there's a reference to something else which kind of stood out as I had no idea what it was, and I was like, maybe that's a reference to one of her other books. So let me know if you've read this, or if you've read other Taylor Jenkins Reid. Let me know in the comments below. Please give this video a like, I really appreciate it, and I'll see you in the next one. Now, get out of my house!